They say betrayal burns hottest when it comes from the one who once whispered they'd die without you. My name is Lisa Carter, and this is the true story of how my husband's secret lust became the weapon I used to bring his entire world crashing down, piece by seductive piece. I've lived in Chicago, Illinois, long enough to understand one thing clearly. People here know how to fake perfection as if their lives depend on it. And for a long time, I was one of them. I met my husband, Daniel, at a rooftop charity gala overlooking Lake Michigan. He walked through that party with confidence, so effortless it felt rehearsed. A tailored suit, scent of smoky cedar, smile polished enough to win center stage on any political campaign. He was the kind of man women whispered about, and men wanted to be. But that night, he wanted me. We talked for hours about architecture, jazz, the psychology of desire. He said he admired my quiet power, a phrase only a manipulator knows how to use well. But back then, I didn't know he was one. Back then, I thought I had won the kind of love that made other women jealous. I thought wrong. We married 2 years later. A small ceremony, his parents smiling with the kind of pride that only comes when a son manages to marry someone who makes him look even more successful. Our home on the north side was a reflection of the life I thought we were building: clean lines, warm lights, framed memories, weekends full of brunches and handheld walks near the pier. I worshipped the life we built. He worshipped the life he had me convinced he was living. And then came the night everything began to crack. Not break, just crack. A hairline fracture in the porcelain shell of our marriage. Soft enough to ignore. Sharp enough to slice me later. It started with a notification on his phone. A text preview. A name I didn't recognize. A sentence that felt like a punch. Last night was perfect. Same time Thursday. When Daniel noticed me looking, he snatched the phone like a teenager caught watching something he shouldn't. His face didn't show guilt. It showed fear. Not fear of losing me, fear of losing control. That's when I knew the truth. My husband wasn't just cheating. He was invested in it. Feeding it. Nurturing it. Hiding it like a second marriage. And that's when another truth hit me even harder. The moment a man betrays you with confidence, he assumes he will never face consequences. That assumption became my starting point. When you love someone deeply, your body reacts before your mind does. My chest tightened. My breathing shortened. My palms tingled as if preparing to fight or flee. But I did neither. I smiled at him. That's the moment viewers always ask me about in the comments when I share pieces of this story online. Why didn't you explode right away? Because explosion satisfies the betrayer. They get to paint you as emotional, irrational, unstable. No. My revenge had to be slow, sensual, psychological, the kind that feels like silk sliding across skin until it tightens like a noose. So I began studying him, his schedule, his patterns, his late-night messages to client leads that weren't clients at all. Daniel had always been a creature of routine. He made it easy to track him. Mondays, gym. Tuesdays, co-working lounge. Thursdays, late meetings. Saturdays, golf with the guys. Except he didn't play golf. He didn't even own clubs. But the most painful part wasn't the lies. It was how tender he was with the lies. How gently he crafted them. How intimately he delivered them. It wasn't cheating. It was performance. One night, while he slept beside me, breathing evenly, peacefully, like a man with nothing to hide, I scrolled through his secondary phone. Yes, he had a second one. A sleek little device, hidden in his car's glove compartment behind insurance papers. He never even considered I'd look there. And that's where I met her. Camille. A younger woman. Ambitious. Beautiful in the way that Instagram filters love. A paralegal who liked sending pictures of herself wearing his shirts. Short shirts. Long nights. Scrolling through their messages, I didn't cry. Not once. Instead, I felt something new. A spark. A quiet ignition of something I didn't know lived inside me. I felt powerful. Because suddenly, I held the truth. And truth, when weaponized by the right woman, can destroy a man more thoroughly than any affair ever could. If Daniel wanted intimacy with another woman, I would use intimacy against him. Not sexually. Emotionally. One morning, I slipped into a silk robe he always said made me look like danger disguised as elegance. I cooked breakfast, played jazz, and let my fingers trail across his shoulders lightly as I handed him his coffee. His body reacted before his mind did. He looked at me like a man remembering something he had forgotten. His wife was still captivating. He leaned in to kiss my neck, but I stepped away. Not coldly. Softly. Just enough to leave the kiss suspended. Running late, I whispered with a smile. That was the first phase of my revenge. Reawaken his desire, then deny it over and over until he questioned his control. Men like Daniel aren't addicted to intimacy. They're addicted to dominance. Take away control, and you dismantle their entire identity. So I kept going. New dresses. Lower lights. Soft perfume, he used to say, drove him insane. But every time he reached for me, I pulled back. Not with rejection. With mystery. Not tonight. I have work. I'm tired. We'll see. Not once did I act angry. Not once did I raise suspicion. To him, it looked like I was simply becoming busy. Independent. A woman rediscovering herself. It made him chase me again. He began planning date nights. Buying flowers. Touching me more often. All while still sneaking around with her. Thinking I had no idea. But the truth was this. Every time he kissed me, I felt nothing. Every time he told me he loved me, I saw the reflection of his betrayal in his eyes. Every time he begged for intimacy, I tightened the leash of my revenge. What he didn't know was that I had already downloaded everything: messages, photos, bank transactions for hotel rooms, even a reservation for a cabin rental in Wisconsin. The second phase required careful orchestration. If I wanted to win, the exposure had to be devastating. Irreversible. Public. But first, I needed to make him trust me again. Or at least believe he still owned me. So I played the role of the perfect wife. A warm smile. Soft tone. Dinner ready. Touch on the arm. But never too close. Seduction isn't only physical. It's psychological. It's the art of giving just enough to make him crave the thing you will eventually use to bury him. He began to desire me more. He began to fear losing me. And that's when I knew it was time. To execute my revenge, I needed two things: his guilt, her presence. So one Thursday, when he said he'd be working late, I smiled sweetly and told him I'd drop by his office with dinner. His eyes flinched. A microscopic twitch. Barely visible, but unmistakable. The team might be in and out, he stuttered. It's not a great night. Perfect. I want to see where you shine, I told him, giving him a lingering touch on the chest. Adam's apple bobbed nervously. That's when he made his fatal mistake. He texted her. And she came. How did I know? Because my GPS tracker, hidden inside his car's leather keychain, pinged her location the second she got in. Technology is a beautiful thing when used with precision. I dressed that night like a woman he couldn't resist. Black, form-fitting dress, hair down, perfume he always associated with the early days of our marriage. When I stepped into his office building, the security guard smiled warmly. Are you here to see Daniel? He asked. I nodded, keeping my voice soft. Surprise dinner. Poor man didn't know he was witnessing the beginning of a takedown worthy of its own Netflix special. I walked to the elevator, but I didn't go up. I went down to the parking garage. Camille's car was there. I recognized it from the photos in her messages. Phase 3 depended entirely on timing. I waited, in the shadows, listening to the silence of a building that didn't know it was about to become a crime scene. Not of violence, but of truth. Exactly 18 minutes later, they entered the garage. Laughing. Hands touching. Her hair is messy. His shirt is slightly untucked. Proof. I stepped out only when they reached his car. Lisa, he choked, voice cracking. Camille froze. I smiled politely. Fancy seeing you both here. Late meeting? Silence. Panic. The sound of a life collapsing. But I didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. Didn't cry. Instead, I leaned against a pillar with the kind of confidence only a woman who holds the upper hand can possess. "I packed dinner," I said, lifting the bag. "But clearly, you already ate." Her face flushed with shame.
He reached for me.
I stepped back. And then I delivered the line that changed everything. "Don't worry, Daniel. Tonight isn't the end. Tonight is the beginning." And I walked away, my heels echoing like a countdown to his destruction. Revenge doesn't end with confrontation. It begins with it. The next morning, I filed for separation. Not divorce. Separation.
Why?
Because Daniel feared divorce. He feared losing assets. He feared losing reputation. And fear is the pressure point of psychological revenge. He begged to talk. He wanted to fix things. He sent flowers, letters, and promises. I ignored them. Until I didn't. One night, I invited him over. Soft lighting.
Wine.
Music. A dress that whispered possibilities. But my expression stayed cool. "Sit," I told him, and he obeyed.
He reached for my hand.
I let him hold it, not because I wanted him, but because I needed him to be comfortable. I spoke slowly, intimately. "You hurt me, Daniel, but I'm willing to consider reconciliation. Under one condition." His eyes brightened. "What condition?" "Anything." Anything. A dangerous word. "I want access to all accounts. Full transparency. Passwords. Email. Phone records. If I'm going to trust you again, I need proof." Men cheat with their bodies, but they repent with their wallets. He handed everything over. Every password. Every account. Every digital door into the life he desperately hoped to hide. I took it all. And then I kissed his cheek gently and whispered, "We'll talk again soon." But we didn't. Not in the way he expected. With access to his accounts, I uncovered everything. Every payment. Every reservation. Every gift. Every lie. I didn't expose him to embarrass him. I exposed him because betrayal thrives in darkness. And I intended to drag it into the brightest spotlight possible. I compiled everything into a single digital document. Then, I sent it to his parents, his boss, his business partners, his closest friends, his church group, himself, so he could feel the blow twice. Subject line: "The man you think you know." Attached: "Undeniable truth, zip." Inside that file was the story of his double life, curated with ruthless accuracy and cold beauty. His world fell apart in 36 hours. His boss called. His mother cried. His partners pulled back from a major investment deal. He was placed on temporary leave. Camille disappeared from his life. Every lie he used to climb his ladder became the rope pulling him down. He called me over and over, begging. But I didn't answer. I wasn't done. Not yet. What destroys a man isn't public humiliation. It's silence from the woman he underestimated. I let him sit in that silence. Stew in it. Drown in it. Weeks passed. He lost weight. Stopped shaving. Stopped pretending. One night he showed up at the door, eyes red. Voice shaking. A man torn down to his bones. "Lisa, please. I'll do anything." I studied with him. The shell of the once confident man. My voice was soft. Almost tender. "I don't need anything from you, Daniel. Not anymore." "But I need you," he whispered. I leaned in close enough for him to feel the warmth of my breath near his skin. "You needed me only after you lost everything else." I watched the truth cut him deeper than any affair ever cut me. And then I closed the door. Slowly. Quietly. Finally. Divorce came 6 months later. He owed alimony. I got the house. His career took years to recover. Mine flourished. People ask me why I didn't ruin him financially beyond repair. Because I'm not a monster. I'm a woman who returned damage in equal measure. And, in the end, he did the rest to himself. Revenge doesn't require violence. Only the truth. And patience. And the seductive art of timing. Today, I tell this story not because I want sympathy, but because I want every woman watching to understand. You don't have to scream to be powerful. You don't have to beg to be chosen. You don't have to break to be reborn. Sometimes the most elegant revenge is simply letting a man crumble under the weight of his own choices, while you rise. I am Lisa Carter, and this was the story of how I reclaimed my life, piece by piece, breath by breath, truth by truth. If you feel my story, if you were with me through every twist, every emotion, every breath, like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment your thoughts, share the story. Your support helps us reach 5,000 subscribers, and every click helps us bring more real stories to light. This is Revenge Uncut. Visit our channel daily for more true stories of betrayal, power, and justice.